for 10 years for businesses that go into within a 1-mile radius of their campuses. So Tech City has been named a Startup New York site for SUNY Ulster, and they will get 10 years of tax breaks from income tax, sales tax, and a number of others, including property and school tax, which means that our community will bear the burden of an incredibly profitable industry. And I don't want to take the floor for too long. I just want you to understand that when you see claims of this being an economic development opportunity for our area, please take a look at what's on our website at kingstoncitizens.org, because they're talking about 40 to 120 jobs, and studies have shown that the plastic bottling water industry employs fewer than half of the people from the local area when they do offer jobs, and that those jobs are twice as dangerous for their employees, as well as relatively low paying, even for manufacturing jobs. So to say that this has a link to an educational mission, to say that this deserves tax breaks, is just irresponsible. So we can talk more about that later.
Actually, I just want to add to that there's a satellite campus, if you've read in the papers now. SUNY Ulster moved into an old or a vacant building up by Walmart to put a satellite in, which now qualifies that area as Startup New York. And that's part of the thing, and one of the surprises that nobody really understood. Why are they putting a satellite campus up there? But so at this point, once they're there, and I believe they're moving in, they're doing Startup New York now, they're qualified in that area.
I think that the town of Ulster justifiably needs to regenerate its Tech City site, but how they do it is something that we should all be involved in discussing, and that should be legitimately linked to quality jobs that are not environmentally harmful.
The questioner, Zimmer, forgot your first name. Carol. You also asked about Woodstock specifically, correct? In terms of Cooper Lake, yeah. So one of the things that all of these people you see up here and others who started communicating very rapidly about this were concerned about was that the proposal for Niagara in the town of Ulster, as it was described in the environmental assessment form, is very narrow. It only refers to the plant site itself within the town of Ulster and the purchase of water from the Kingston Water Department. It does not refer at all to the delivery of that water through the Kingston Water Department system that extends all the way from Mink Hollow, where the diversion of water from Mink Hollow Brook is carried through a pipe to Cooper Lake, the reservoir, and then through the water main that runs from Cooper Lake down right through the center of Woodstock, down to Sauk Hill Road to their treatment facility, and then to a further holding reservoir called the Bennewater Reservoir, and then out to the city of Kingston and to the town of Ulster site. So none of this was included in their environmental assessment form. In addition, people have talked about the lower Esopus. There's 342,500 gallons of wastewater discharge proposed that will go into the lower Esopus and pass downstream, as has been mentioned here, to the Hudson. In that environmental assessment form, it did not identify the lower Esopus as an impaired waterway. These are big red flags for those of us who have expertise and knowledge, because those people that prepared that form and those officials in the town of Ulster, they know better. They participate in working groups about the turbidity issue in the lower Esopus. They know it's an impaired waterway, and they've been advocating like crazy to get New York City DEP and New York State DEC to remediate it. So one of the first things that we have done is to insist that the whole, what's called the whole action under seeker, be part of the scope of the environmental review, and that every potential impact within that whole action, from Mink Hollow all the way to the Hudson River, has to be examined as part of the review and any permitting of this both the sale of the water as well as the Niagara plant itself. And I want to maybe give this to Liz for a second, because Save Cooper Lake immediately has petitioned our town board. Many of us began to put in phone calls to Jeremy Wilbur and other town board members, and our town board has stepped right up on this very immediately. So I'm going to let Liz speak a little bit to what's happened there.
Well, I'll just address what you said about Cooper Lake as far as we know. I guess everyone, maybe you do know that there was actually a 1929 decision that was rendered by the old DEC. It was the Department of Conservation. They had a water control and power commission, and it gave the city of Kingston the right to draw water out of our stream in Mincalo as well as in the Sawkill. So the only thing that Woodstock, I think, is primarily concerned about, not only by following the seeker issues, is our access or our possible superior rights to access of water above that diversion. And we all have to remember that that decision was made when Woodstock had 1,000 to 1,500 people living here. There was probably, I guess the city of Kingston probably had maybe 28, 20, 30, they had a bigger population, of course. But things have changed so much, and what's concerning, I think, to all of us is that the Kingston Water Board references old studies, old decisions, in support of not only their ability to take more water, but also to say that they have a surplus. You know, they're referencing a study from 1963 in support of a safe yield amount. And so I think all of, the people who are more concerned about Cooper Lake at this point should really be questioning them on, you know, this is from our viewpoint, a laughable assertion that they could actually put this kind of evidence out there in support of their ability to sell water to a private company. So,
another question that is now part of this, at least in our view, is that the city of Kingston has separately been looking at the dam and the dike at Cooper Lake. This is something that they are mandated to do by DEC. The dam has been flagged. It needs to be remediated. They are looking at expanding the capacity at Cooper Lake by raising the dam and raising the dike. And that expanded capacity would provide them with greater reserves. And that, in our view, may potentially now be part of this kind of whole action. And it really goes to the heart of what, you know, is referred to as the commons, and what Rachel referred to, and Kate, is this privatizing. Yes, it's Kingston's water supply, but it's for the public. And it's for commercial and business enterprises and all of those things in the city of Kingston. But now that they're talking about, you know, raising significantly, expanding capacity at Cooper Lake, that really brings a question of what other things now? What kind of precedent is this going to set for other water sales that are not even in the city? They're outside of the city of Kingston. For what purposes and to what public necessity? So,
let's take some more questions. And I just want to say that one of Kingston's main motivations for doing this is infrastructure repair, which we know is a big problem for everybody in the country. And that's a problem that we all also have to be committed to helping to solve.
Well said.
Hi, my name is Judith Simon, and I'm here as an interested citizen. So I have a question and a suggestion. My question is how it will affect private wells and to what extent. So that's one question. My suggestion is, actually I just wrote this during the movie, is a fundraising and education campaign, which would be stickers that people would put on bottled water in supermarkets. It's really easy to do. And the stickers, one of the ones that I wrote is, if I can read it, it's, your tap water is tested daily. This bottled water is not. Don't buy bottled water. So, I mean, that's just one. I'm sure we could think of a lot. I had others as well, some longer. And it would be really easy to do that. I would be willing to write some things. I'd be willing to put it together and design it. I'd be willing to pay for a batch of it. And maybe someone else other people can contribute. It would be an easy thing to do.
I think, and other people will have other responses to this. One thing I think we have to be very careful here is our merchants, right? You know, but I mean, I really want to support Kate's water bottle here, you know, the refillable, usable water bottle, and do something that's positive. That's really that's a positive thing that we can do. I'm not sure I want to do that to grocery store owners.
I was thinking about wells.
No, the wells. She wanted the question.
I think the issue about impact on wells is yet to be determined. I think also because the city of Kingston does draw water out of the Sawkill, which is the primary recharge source for the municipal water that you have here. It's probably a huge thing that Woodstock, unfortunately, will probably have to pay for to prove, unless Kingston would or Ulster will ask Chazen to forthcome with.
Yeah, one of the real problems here right now is, if those of you who've been following this, is the town of Woodstock has no seat at the table as an involved agency to this action. In order to qualify as an involved agency for the whole scoping process and the environmental impact statement and review, the town would have to have determined that it has some permitting or funding authority that would be necessary for this proposal to move forward. And so far, and I'm not saying this categorically, because the town board has retained the services of a very good seeker attorney, and it may be that they determined that they do have a place where they have that, and that may change. I don't know. Likewise, so far the city of Kingston has not yet made a determination that it has that authority. So the city of Kingston itself does not yet have a seat at the table as an involved agency. Only the Kingston Water Department. So as Liz was just saying, our town board is using taxpayer dollars, and they're not happy about it because they're the fiscal stewards of our financial resources. But they are doing it, and the hydrogeologists, same thing will hold true, and we may need to fundraise for these things privately, and we will do it if we need to do it, and we will need your help to do it if that's the case.
Let's keep getting the questions in here. Sorry, everything you're saying is very pertinent. Has there been any movement to outlaw, like I know in San Francisco, plastic bottles have been outlawed? Plastic bags? But what about plastic water? Why don't we start right here in Woodstock? Ask all the town merchants, we don't want plastic water bottles. Let's start a petition. We don't want plastic in our town. And then have it move on. I would love to, yeah. I would love to.
Because I know Rachel's already started this. Let Rachel speak because she's gotten, and give a plug to Catskill.
Yeah, Brian Roofs at Catskill Mountain Pizza just stepped up and offered to lead the charge in pulling the plastic bottles out of town. So perhaps he might even host that along with us. We should talk about that. Email us. I want to ask you, Liz. I was speaking yesterday or the other day to someone who asked me to please remain nameless. They wanted to stay nameless. But they mentioned something that hasn't been brought up in this yet, which was that, or maybe it has, I haven't heard much about it. The water lines that go from Cooper Lake or that land in the town of Ulster have not been running at full capacity, right?
They might not, it depends on what kind of flow.
The city of Kingston is only allowed to take as much water out of these streams. They have to leave 500,000 gallons a day as a flow rate into the stream. So if they're just going to be able to get whatever is above that.
That's actually not. So these pipes have not been running at full capacity since Tech City has been closed or down. So they're not taking 1 million gallons a day into Tech City.
Oh, I'm sure they're not.
Right. So, but what happens is over the last 25 years or 20 years that they've been sitting there, those pipes have been pitting. And so when they do push, like she explained, trying to put a pair of jeans that's 3 or 4 sizes too small onto your body, when they push that full capacity through those pipes, there's a very good chance that they will create more leaks and need a whole new restructuring of that infrastructure. Can anybody speak to that? That it was an engineer that had spoken to them about it.
Yeah, I'm sure that makes sense.
As I said before, and this is way out of my league, technically, the Kingston Water Department has been engaged in a number of studies over a number of years looking at their aging infrastructure, and it's 50, 60 years old in some cases. So they have identified somewhere between $8 and $16 million of needed repairs and upgrades to their infrastructure. I believe probably from the diversion in Mink Hollow, all the way at Cooper Lake, the reservoir, the dike, the dams, the water main, other associated infrastructure, all the way down. And then there is also a separate additional main I believe they would be putting in to the plant facility itself from the Kingston water supply.
There's a will serve letter that you've read that the city of Kingston's water department issued to Niagara, and in it lists the water requests, the pressure, and what have you. And this recent engineering analysis, as I understand it, addresses infrastructure and the needs of infrastructure for the delivery of 1 million gallons of water initial and upwards to $1.75 million gallons per day. The will serve, the engineering analysis, it's all, there are many sites that have it, but at kingstoncitizens.org, at the top menu of the documents section, all of that is there. They can describe, and you can learn pretty much as we know. And I would think that Mary McNamara would also be someone to speak to about these things because she knows this quite well.
Can I just say one thing? The Kingston system, correct me if I'm wrong, that they estimate they lose 1 million gallons a day in the system from...
I think at least, yeah.
And I just want to know, when I was at my tail end of my term on the town board, Woodstock also has a very aging infrastructure. It was started in the 50s. But they went about, at that point, knowing we were losing almost 50% of the water that we were pumping out of the aquifer here in town, they went through a whole change to assess where the leaks are and fix them so that we're not pumping a valuable resource out of the ground and then losing half of what we're pumping out. And also, the loss of revenue is huge too. So there's a lot of things that is going on within the infrastructure that makes this whole thing very, very complicated. Sorry.
And flooding basements too, I guess. That might
Yeah.
be part
And
of
also, the engineering report that I saw, that last one, Rebecca, that came through, it was basically, now maybe I'm wrong about this, but it really went into how they maintain the pressure to the system. And there is a lot of pitting in their pipes. And reservoir repairs. Yeah, well, you mean here? Yeah, I know. I don't know anything about Warson, but yeah, they have a lot of problems in maintaining the pressure, even to get it to the 1 million gallons that they want to. They have to create this whole backwash tank system, and I don't know. That's what I read when I was reading it.
Mess it up.
We want to get some more questions. Before you ask, how many more people have questions? Great, okay, so we're going to keep that moving.
Okay, so I've got a question, but first, my name is Superwater Man. Yeah! I'm a Superwater Man. You say it with an inflection. New superhero for water, and actually out to cause a new superhero in the world. And lo and behold, bottling water became an issue, and I'm here to lend my superhero vortex powers. You're welcome. You're welcome. Acknowledgement to everybody on the panel and Kingston citizens. You've been phenomenal. So maybe a little give something up for you guys. So where I come from is this. Super Waterman is here for the culture. Woodstock was here before me for the culture. And we're sitting in a venue. So I think, and this is a question and a request, that Woodstock be the center of the cultural movement for water. Put yourself together a concert. Yes. Okay.
Where we are collecting the artistic.
Sweet. The sameboat.us.
And then you just go there, let us know. You can share anything. There's all kinds of ways to focus on water. Go there. You want to talk about art?
Well,
but the point is, we have songs offered. We have music coalitions
In Michigan, we have so many people stepping up right now, and we will be having a concert. But right now, nobody can take any money.
Yeah, got
None
that.
of us are ready right now to take any.
Okay,
they can take money.
Okay.
We're working on it,
Okay,
but
wait.
we don't want to do a huge fundraiser until we actually have somewhere for it to go.
Got the very, very great. Very great.
We're figuring it out too.
Very great.
I just wanted to give a nod to the Woodstock Land Conservancy, who came to Riverkeeper and indicated that they had the ability to come up with some money to pay a consultant to develop a document that looked at all the potential environmental impacts associated with this. The reason why we did it is because we wanted to make sure that the town of Ulster did not give this project a negative declaration, which is seeker speak for saying you don't have to do an environmental impact statement applicant, you can just go straight to getting your permit. And so we wanted to make sure the town of Ulster felt the pressure not to do that. In any case, we worked together because obviously Riverkeeper isn't a 501c3, and so we were able to take financial support and then funnel it towards this particular purpose. So
Just one last point, and then about the concert aspect. And Super Waterman is out of this same concept. Is you reach more people through culture. You reach them through art, and you reach them through something that reaches through their heart, so then they could open their minds to take in this stuff, because there's a lot of stuff on people's plates, including my own, and people don't get connected all the time with the documentary style outreach. And while valuable, there's a way to through people's hearts and minds. And thanks. And Superwaterman can be found at facebook.com/Superwaterman, and there'll be episodes. Yeah.
Another question? Let's get more questions. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Lori Osmond. I live in Willow. I read in some local news account, I don't remember where, that Niagara was going to be withdrawing water from Cooper Lake and then eventually an unnamed private spring. Unnamed natural spring. And what do you know about that?
Heather knows more about it than anyone, but in Red Hook, there's a private spring in Cokertown, which is in the northeast corner of Red Hook. Yes. And they're now going through the town planning board in Red Hook to look at that. And they very smartly said, this is the town of Red Hook, said to the private spring owner and to Niagara, you're going to have to do hydrogeological studies, you're going to have to go through the state environmental quality review. And we've been to visit with them, to work together with them on our coalition. They joined us, their Conservation Advisory Council has joined us in signing the letter as an entity, so they're very much aware of the problem. There will be, if they take 300,000 gallons of water from this spring, there will have to be, by very nature, 30 trucks, meaning 60 trips back and forth, because they each have the capacity of 10,000 gallons. They will cross through very small streets in that community. They will cross the river. They will cross county. They will cross several towns to get into Ulster. Actually, no, it will be in the town of Ulster, I guess. It'll get added to the the production lines that are expected at the plant are 2 for natural water, and I mean for Cooper Lake water, and 2 for spring water, which means we could be looking at another several sources that they're going for, including 24 other water withdrawal permits that they've already applied for and received from the state, in which they might be able to tap those local springs. So we're working on that.
I just wanted to clarify, because I think there might be some confusion. Niagara is not withdrawing water from Cooper Lake. The city of Kingston is withdrawing water from Cooper Lake, which has, as Liz referred to, the authorization to do right now, and the city of Kingston is going to sell that water to Niagara. Okay.
Hi, my name is Ashley Shosho, and it's interesting that you went up before me, because I also had a question around spring water. Because since I moved to Kingston 2 years ago, I've been going to a natural spring in downtown Kingston, or right outside it. Yeah, there you go. And I've been filling up, unfortunately, plastic jugs of water for my own drinking. And because basically I have concerns around the health of the water coming out of the tap, with fluoride and chlorine and so on. So my question is that something that you'd recommend for citizens to do, is to go to their whatever spring is closest to them? Or this is not even just Kingston. You can go to findaspring.org and be able to find the ones closest to you. But is that something that you would recommend? So that's my question. And I also have a request, because I have this idea brewing in my head that's kind of come up out of a lot of these conversations that are happening at Omega and also around the area. But I have an idea of something called the Kingston Commons, where I want to get people with skills, knowledge, and goods together, having conversation around the commons, like water, land, skills, and goods. And I'm not really for recycling in the sense. I think there's a lot of things that we could do before we go to recycle things, especially bringing together artists who can use these materials for beautiful things. So I guess my request from the community is I really need help in putting this together. I just have the idea of the Kingston Commons. That's as far as I got. So that's it.
I just want to say that you should join KingstonCitizens.org, and we'll help you to have a platform to start developing that. And as far as springs go, the Eddyville spring, I have friends that drink from it. They test it for bacteria, and it tests fine. So people are drinking from that particular spring, and I will say that filtering Cooper Lake is a good idea. There are many ways you can go and deeper, filtration options. If you want, on KingstonCitizens.org, there's Take the Tap Challenge, and there's a really good recommendation for a local water filtration company. There are probably others, but it's one that we've worked with. It's professional, that can help to guide citizens who want to drink from their tap and who have concerns about chlorine, fluoride, copper, lead, and what have you. Kathy?
Yeah, I would just say that we need to be careful about the containers we put the clean water in as well. And maybe Riverkeeper needs to consider making a larger size container that could be that 5-gallon or 10-gallon that we've all been using plastic bottles for. And I just want to alert people to a film, Wasteland,
which is a documentary about the artist Vic Muniz and his work with pickers, basically people who select recyclables out of garbage in Brazil. And it is a fabulous film, would make a great holiday gift for people, and links documentary information with that notion of what we can create as a culture.
Hi, my name is Urena, and I grew up in this area, and have been away for a long time, and I've recently come back. And I'm an educator. I'm a licensed teacher. I'm trying to get my license transferred here in New York State, but I really wanted to hear maybe a little bit more about possible plans, and thinking about in the future as well, but even now, how to collaborate with all the school districts and private places, because I find that kids, if you educate the children, they talk to their parents and their friends and their extended family, and they can make a big difference, as well as not just going and doing your obligatory audience in the auditorium, but to maybe even think about engaging educators in building it into their curriculum, and having, because they have a lot of pressure with the Common Core, having the Common Core standards within that as well. So it
Great suggestion.
Talks them into it.
Thank you.
Just to be very quick, I would like you to connect with me, because there is a young woman who has taken this on at the Woodstock Day School as her senior project. She's added it in. She's looking at specifically youth and civic engagement. And if you talk to her, she would love some help. And we need to disseminate some information to the youth.
I just want to point out also that Ban the Bottle has worked across the United States to get schools on board with a campaign. So before you go out and create a whole new curriculum and try to reinvent the wheel, there's a lot of resources out there for curricula, and there's also other schools that can show you how it's been done. And we're working now with the Environmental Club of SUNY Ulster, which is ground zero, so to speak, for this particular project. And the Environmental Club is going to be talking to the SUNY Ulster Board of Trustees to tell them about how they're launching this campaign. We're going to hook them up with SUNY New Paltz, which has already claimed that it is a climate change pledge supporter and is one of the greenest schools in America, supposedly. And we're going to put them together with Vassar, who has already done the Ban the Bottle campaign. So I think the best thing to do is make sure you're not starting over, but that you join into something like that. So if you contact Jennifer at kingstoncitizens.org, I can put you in touch with the people who are already doing that.
As well, I'd love to say that SUNY Ulster Environmental Committee will be speaking at the BSP TAPT event. They're joining us. Right.
Let's take one more question so we can wrap up. And listen, if you didn't get your questions in, we're here. We're not going anywhere for a little bit, because we do have to wrap it up, because the building closes here at 3.
And I just want to say that I think we should all make Niagara wish that they had never come to this community.
I just wanted to, first of all, thank everybody up here. You're amazing. And to Kathy's point, there are going to be, because this is coming fast and furious from every direction, so keep your radar up. Go to KingstonCitizens.org, go to Riverkeeper, go to the Woodstock Land Conservancy.
Open those emails.
Make sure that if there's a petition out there or new information, and just go for it, because this is a fight, and we all have to be on our toes. And okay, thanks.
I just need to also, it's very important, this is very important, I need to thank Robert and the Bearsville Theater, who donated this space to us. They went out of their way to make this a very comfortable experience. So we have to thank you guys. Thank you so much.
One more question.
talking about
This woman has a question.
This is a very important question. I do hope somebody here can answer it, and I understand if you can't, but it would be a good question to think about. It seems to me that the authorization the townships are getting is coming from some kind of secret meeting, I would suppose, like Senate hearings. And I don't know if anybody realizes, but these hearings are only made public if you buy the newsletter. You have to subscribe for $75. So are any of the townships subscribing to these secret private Senate meetings, which are dictated if the town or any citizen subscribes and pays their yearly fee? The name of the newsletter? I came across it looking at some various laws, and then I'm looking into like who was the senator and what kind of meetings were taking place. I would assume any New York State office would give that information.
We'll look into it, and if not, we'll get it done.
All right, I just want to again reiterate, thank you, Bearsville Theater, for hosting us today and for turning on the heat. And there's sandwiches outside if you'd like to pick them up on your way. They brought them in especially for us.